Imagine this. It's a quiet evening. The world outside is slowly falling asleep, and you're sitting by the window with a warm cup of tea. In your hands is a simple English novel, nothing too long, nothing too hard. You turn the page, and suddenly, the words don't just stay on paper, they start to flow gently into your mind. You don't feel like you're studying. You're not memorizing grammar rules or struggling with vocabulary lists. You're simply there with the characters in the story. And somehow, almost magically, the English language begins to feel less like a stranger and more like a friend who's been beside you all along. That's the quiet power of reading stories. They don't push. They invite. They whisper English into your thoughts in a way that feels natural, soft, and safe. And that's why today's video is for you. Yes, you, the gentle learner who sometimes doubts if you can really do this. I want to show you a different way. Not with pressure, not with stress, but with the quiet joy of discovering a story one sentence at a time. If this is your first time here, welcome to Onyx Shadowing English. This is a space made with care for learners like you, people who want to grow with English slowly, kindly, and confidently. Together, we explore English not just through words, but through life, stories, emotions, and moments that matter. In this video, we'll talk about how novels can become your secret path to fluency. No boring textbooks, no fear, just you, your imagination, and a story that wants to teach you English, gently and powerfully. So sit back, relax your shoulders, and let's begin this beautiful journey together. Because tonight, you're not just reading English, you're becoming someone who lives it. Ever since we were little children, stories have had a special place in our hearts. Long before we could read or write, we listened. We listened to bedtime tales whispered softly in the night, to simple adventures full of wonder, to the voices of people we loved saying, "Once upon a time." And somehow, without realizing it, our minds started to remember, not just the words, but the feelings. That's the beautiful secret of storytelling. The brain doesn't like memorizing cold facts. It remembers best when things are wrapped inside a story, because stories feel real. They help us understand the world, feel less alone, and make sense of complicated things. That's why, when it comes to learning English, stories can be your gentle guide. Instead of forcing your brain to remember a list of vocabulary, you can let a character in a book show you those words, living, breathing, and full of meaning. Let me share something lovely about how our brains work. When we learn through emotion, we remember longer and deeper. Think back to your favorite movie or a book that made you smile or cry. You probably still remember parts of it, not because you studied it, but because you felt something. That's called emotional connection, and it's a powerful tool for learning. When you read a story and you feel happy or sad or even just curious, your brain lights up in a special way. It opens like a flower turning toward sunlight, and it says, "This matters." So the words, the grammar, the expressions, everything stays with you, not because you tried to remember, but because your heart joined the learning too. That's what makes reading stories so different from studying a textbook. A textbook shows you English. A story lets you feel it. Now let's explore something even more magical, immersion. This is when you surround yourself with English so completely that you start to absorb it naturally, like a sponge soaking up water. When you read a novel in English, something gentle and powerful begins to happen. You don't just learn words. You step into a whole new world where people think, speak, and feel in English. You read how they describe a rainy day, You hear how they comfort a friend. You feel how they fall in love or struggle with a secret. And while your eyes are reading those words, your brain is quietly learning patterns, how sentences are built, how expressions are used, how native speakers communicate feelings without even saying them directly. This is what we call natural immersion. It doesn't require effort, only time and presence. The best part is, you don't have to understand every word. In fact, it's okay if you don't. Your brain is smarter than you think. It picks up on patterns, it guesses meaning from context, it connects ideas. That's why reading stories is so perfect for English learners, especially beginners. It's a soft way to learn. There's no pressure. You just read, and the language slowly becomes a part of you. Bit by bit, your thoughts start to shift. Instead of translating every sentence from your first language, you begin to understand English directly. One day, without even trying, you realize you've just read a whole page without looking up a single word. And in that moment, something inside you changes. You start to believe that yes, you really can do this. That quiet belief in yourself is what keeps you going. You may not speak perfectly yet, you may not know every word, but when you connect with English through stories, you're building a relationship, not just with the language, but with your future self. The self who understands more, expresses more, feels more free in English. And you don't get there by rushing. You get there by walking through each chapter, one beautiful moment at a time. Just like the characters in the stories you read, you are on a journey of growth, of discovery, of becoming. And the more you read, the more you feel it. English is no longer something far away. It's something close, something warm, something you can hold in your hands, understand in your heart, and carry with you wherever you go. So if you've ever felt tired of learning the hard way, if grammar books and flashcards have left you feeling stressed and unsure, maybe it's time to try the soft way, the story way. Let novels be your quiet classroom. Let the characters be your teachers. Let each sentence be a gentle whisper, reminding you that English isn't just a subject. It's a voice, a rhythm, a part of life that is slowly becoming your own. And you, dear learner, are doing better than you think. Just keep reading. Just keep feeling. Just keep going. There's something magical about classic novels. They don't just tell a story. They carry within them the rhythm, the feeling, and the soul of a language. And when that language is English, these stories become more than entertainment. They become gentle teachers, whispering lessons into your mind without pressure or fear. You don't have to be perfect to read them. You just need to be open, curious, and willing to take one step at a time. Even if you only read one page a day, that page is filled with treasures. In this part of our journey, let's explore 4 timeless novels that can help you grow in English. Not by force, but through the quiet magic of story. First, let's begin with Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This novel is like a window into a world of elegance and gentle wit, where people speak with care and emotions are expressed with beautiful subtlety. As you read, you start to notice how people in the story agree, disagree, tease, and connect, all through language that is polite, clever, and full of hidden meaning. You learn how to express your opinion without sounding too direct. You learn how to say no in a kind way. You begin to hear how people use tone, rhythm, and structure to shape conversation. This book is perfect for those who want to improve not just vocabulary, but also the feeling behind each phrase. It's like learning how to speak English with a soft smile, how to sound respectful, thoughtful, and calm, even when the topic is difficult. And as you follow Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, you'll notice how their words change as their feelings grow, giving you a deeper understanding of how emotion and language walk hand in hand. Now let's move to a deeper, more emotional journey with A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. This story begins with one of the most famous lines in English literature. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And from there, it takes you through a world of revolution, sacrifice, and hope. Dickens is a master of imagery. He paints scenes so vividly that you feel like you're watching a film inside your mind. Every sentence is rich in emotion. As you read, you start to see how to describe moments not just with facts, but with feeling. You learn how to bring a scene to life using colors, sounds, smells, and sensations. You notice how a single sentence can carry the weight of sorrow or the lightness of love. This is especially useful if you want to expand your vocabulary for expressing thoughts and experiences. But beyond that, Dickens teaches you something even more important, that English is a language of the heart. Through his characters' struggles, you learn how to talk about pain, joy, loss, and courage, not in cold textbook phrases, but in ways that touch the soul. Let's step next into the free-spirited world of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. This novel is full of life, energy, and real voices. Unlike the polished conversations of Jane Austen or the poetic intensity of Dickens, Twain's writing is raw and playful. He writes the way people actually talk. As you read, you'll meet characters who speak in slang, who shorten words, who use rhythm and humor to express themselves. It may feel strange at first, but that's exactly the point. This book teaches you how English sounds in the real world. You'll see how people joke, argue, share stories, and show feelings through everyday language. This is American English in its most natural form, unfiltered, direct, and full of personality. And as you follow Huck and Jim down the river, you'll find yourself laughing, thinking, and sometimes even pausing just to enjoy the simplicity of a line. It's like being invited to a campfire where people speak freely and stories float into the night air. And the more you read, the more your own speaking will begin to sound relaxed, confident, and true to who you are. And finally, let's open our hearts to The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Though this story was first written in French, the English version is beloved by readers around the world for its simplicity and deep meaning. This is a book that speaks directly to the soul. It uses simple words to explore big questions about love, friendship, loneliness, and the beauty of seeing the world with childlike wonder. The language is soft, almost like a poem, and that makes it perfect for English learners at any level. You don't need to understand every word to feel its magic. Just reading one page can stay with you for days. It helps you learn how to speak from the heart, how to say meaningful things in a gentle way. And most of all, it reminds you that language is not about being impressive, it's about connection. Reading this book is like walking through a quiet garden in your mind, where each flower is a new thought, and each word is a tiny light guiding your way forward. Each of these novels is a key to a different part of English. Pride and Prejudice teaches you grace. A Tale of Two Cities teaches you emotion. Huckleberry Finn teaches you voice. And The Little Prince teaches you feeling. You don't have to read them all. You don't have to read them fast. Just choose the one that speaks to you. Maybe you like love stories. Maybe you want something funny. Maybe you need a book that feels like a friend. Whatever you choose, let it be your companion. Read it slowly. Let the language wash over you. Let it sink in softly, like warm sunlight touching your skin. And if at first you feel lost, don't worry. That's normal. It means you are growing. It means you are leaving behind the old way of learning, the hard, stressful way, and entering the new way, the kind way, the story way. You are no longer trying to study English. You are starting to live it. So take a deep breath, open a book, and know this. Every page you read is one step closer to the version of you who speaks English with ease, confidence, and joy. You don't need to be perfect. You only need to begin. And with each line, each chapter, each gentle moment, English will slowly become yours. Reading novels in English is not just about turning pages. It's about turning on the light inside your mind. It's about choosing to sit with a story, letting it unfold gently, and allowing the language to wash over you like sunlight filtering through the trees. But to truly grow through reading, we need more than just time. We need to read with intention. We need to read in a way that helps the words stay with us, not just for a moment, but for life. That's why today, I want to walk with you through 4 beautiful ways to make your reading time smarter, deeper, and more powerful. You don't need fancy tools. You just need your curiosity, your heart, and a willingness to explore English in a soft and meaningful way. Let's begin with something called active reading. Many learners read English books the same way they would scroll through their phones, quickly, passively, without stopping to feel. But what if you read like you were having a quiet conversation with the story? What if, instead of just reading, you also interacted? That's where the magic begins. When you see a new word, don't just skip it. Take a moment, mark it, maybe underline it softly with your pencil or highlight it in your favorite color. Not because you need to remember it right away, but because you're telling your brain, this word matters to me. And then take it further. Ask yourself, what do I think this means? Or where else could I use this? You can also pause and write down how the story makes you feel. Excited, sad, confused, surprised. When a character says something bold or mysterious, you can ask, why did they say that? Or, what would I do if I were them? This is how a story becomes alive inside you. It's no longer something outside you. It becomes part of your thinking, your learning, your way of seeing the world. Now that you've started noticing words that stand out, it's time to build your word bank. This is your personal treasure chest of vocabulary. Each word you collect is like a small star, and over time, you begin to build your own sky. You can use small notebooks or apps like Anki or Quizlet to keep track. Write the new word, the sentence where you found it, and a little drawing or note that helps you remember. But don't stop there. Say the word out loud. Make your own sentence with it. Write a tiny story using it. Maybe even whisper it before you sleep. The goal is not just to know the word. The goal is to use it, to feel it, to make it yours. When you use a new word in your own way, even in a small sentence, you teach your brain, this is mine now. And over time, those words stop being strangers. They become friends, waiting quietly in your mind, ready to help you express your thoughts in English with ease and joy. Another gentle and powerful way to deepen your connection with English is through reading aloud and shadowing. This may sound simple, but it's one of the most effective habits you can build, especially if you want to speak English more naturally. The next time you read a paragraph in your book, try reading it out loud. Don't worry about your accent. Don't worry if you make a mistake. Just read slowly and listen to your own voice. Feel how the words roll off your tongue. Notice the rhythm, the music in the sentences. And then, if you want to take it to the next level, try shadowing. Find an audiobook or a YouTube video where someone reads the same story. Listen carefully, and then repeat what they say, just a second behind, like an echo. This helps you match their pronunciation, their tone, and their flow. It may feel tricky at first, but with practice, your speaking will become smoother, your ears sharper, and your confidence stronger. It's like dancing with the language. You follow the steps and slowly you start to lead. And finally, let's talk about the joy of reading with others. Learning English doesn't have to be a lonely path. In fact, when you share your reading journey with others, something beautiful happens. You feel supported. You feel seen. You feel like you're not alone anymore. You can join an online reading group, a Facebook community, or even just start a small reading circle with your friends. Choose a book together. Set a goal, maybe 1 chapter per week. After reading, take time to share your thoughts. What did you like? What confused you? Which sentence made you feel something? And here's the magic. When you hear someone else talk about the same story, you see it in a new way. You learn new words, new insights, and new ways of expressing yourself. It also keeps you motivated. You'll want to keep reading, not just for yourself, but for the joy of sharing with others. You'll feel the warmth of connection, and your English will grow naturally, like a flower blooming in the sun. These 4 steps, active reading, building a word bank, reading aloud, and learning in community, are more than just study tips. They are gentle invitations to live with English every day. You don't have to do them all at once. You can start with just 1. Maybe today, you'll underline a word that speaks to you. Maybe tomorrow you'll try reading a few lines out loud. Maybe next week, you'll send a message to someone who's also learning and say, hey, want to read a book together? Step by step, page by page, you are building something beautiful. You are creating a quiet space inside yourself where English can grow safely, joyfully, and freely. So the next time you open a novel, remember this. You're not just reading, you're transforming. You're gently guiding your brain to think, feel, and express in a new language. And you're doing it with kindness, with patience, with love. Don't rush. Don't pressure yourself. You are learning in one of the most powerful ways possible, through story, through sound, through connection. And every word you read brings you closer to the version of you who speaks English confidently, clearly, and naturally. Keep going, dear friend. You are doing so well. Reading in English is like planting a garden in your mind. Each page you turn is a seed, and slowly, gently, those seeds begin to grow. At first, you may not notice the change, but over time, something beautiful begins to happen. The language starts to flow more easily. Sentences feel more familiar. You find yourself smiling at a phrase, understanding a joke, or even thinking in English without realizing it. This is what fluency feels like. Not perfection, not speed, but comfort. When you read regularly, your brain starts to respond faster. You no longer need to stop and translate every word in your head. Instead, you understand the meaning directly, like catching a wave and riding it with ease. It's not a race, it's a rhythm. And the more you read, the more natural that rhythm becomes, gently carrying you forward into deeper understanding and stronger communication. But it's not just your fluency that grows. It's your understanding of grammar too, in a way that feels soft and organic. You see, when grammar is taught from a textbook, it can feel dry or confusing. All those rules, all those exceptions, it's easy to get lost. But when you read stories, grammar doesn't come as rules. It comes as music. You begin to feel how sentences are built, how verbs change with time, how questions are asked, and how emotions are shown through word order and tone. It's like listening to a song over and over again. One day, you find yourself singing along, not because you memorized the lyrics, but because they've become part of you. That's how reading helps you learn grammar, by showing it to you in action, again and again, in different situations, until it no longer feels like a puzzle. It just feels natural, and as you read more, another quiet gift reveals itself: cultural awareness. English is more than words. It's a window into how people live, what they value, how they love, how they work, and how they see the world. Novels written in English show you things you can't find in a dictionary. You learn how people greet each other, how they show politeness or disagreement, what makes them laugh, what they fear, and what touches their hearts. You start to understand the little things, the way a mother speaks to her child, the way a friend says goodbye, the way someone apologizes without using the word sorry. These small details help you feel closer to the language and the people who speak it. And when you speak English yourself, this awareness shines through. You're not just using words. You're connecting. You're respecting. You're understanding the heart behind the language. And that makes everything you say more meaningful. Perhaps the most powerful gift of reading in English is something that happens deep inside you: inner confidence. The first time you finish a book, no matter how simple or short, something shifts. You sit there holding those pages in your hands and you whisper to yourself, "I did it." And in that quiet moment, you begin to believe something new about yourself. You realize that learning English is not out of reach. It's not impossible. It's happening. You are doing it. One story at a time, one sentence at a time, you are becoming the kind of person who can understand, who can feel, and who can grow. That sense of achievement of completing a novel in English is a turning point. It's no longer just about studying, it's about becoming. And once you've finished one book, you start to wonder, what else can I do? And that question, my dear friend, is the beginning of something amazing. So if you ever feel unsure or think your progress is too slow, I invite you to look back. Think about where you started. Think about the first word you understood, the first sentence that made you smile, the first chapter you finished. Every page you've read has built a bridge from who you were to who you are becoming. And the best part? This journey has only just begun. Keep going. Keep reading. Let the stories guide you. Let them teach you gently and lovingly. You are not just learning English, you are discovering a voice that has always been inside you, waiting to be heard. And that voice is growing stronger every day. Maybe you've been waiting for the perfect moment to begin. Maybe you've been thinking, my English isn't good enough yet, or what if I don't understand everything? But here's the gentle truth, whispered just for you. You don't need to understand it all. You only need to begin. Just one page, just one story. That's all it takes to open a door to confidence, to connection, to a version of yourself that smiles when they speak English, not because it's perfect, but because it feels natural, real, alive. Learning a language isn't about racing to the end. It's about becoming someone new with each small step. So today, I invite you to take that first step. Not with pressure, not with fear, but with curiosity and kindness. Choose a book that calls to your heart. Maybe it's The Little Prince with its gentle words and deep meaning. Or Huckleberry Finn. if you want to hear the music of real conversation. Maybe Pride and Prejudice will teach you the elegance of polite speech, or A Tale of Two Cities, if you want to feel language that moves like poetry. Whichever one you choose, let it be your companion. Let it walk with you, slowly, softly, word by word. And if you ever feel alone on this path, know that you're not. Here on Onyx Shadowing English, we're reading together. We're learning through stories, supporting each other gently, step by step. You're invited to join our journey through comments, through our shared love of books, through the small, brave act of saying, I want to grow. So pick a story. Read the first paragraph, breathe deeply, and know that your first chapter doesn't need to be perfect. It only needs to be yours, because a new life in English is waiting, not someday, but today. All it takes is one page, one quiet choice, and the rest will follow.